when you like are evil, or you just are like someone who doesn't really give a shit about manipulating people, like Edward Bernays, you look at that and you're like, what is that? I wonder if I could use that same aspect of humanity to sell cigarettes. And so that's when, you know, the story of him selling cigarettes, right? Like this is like his, basically one of the things he figured out is if you can attach your brand to a social movement, then, and get people to start using your brand as a symbol that they support whatever that movement may be, you're going to sell more shit. Now, this is every commercial that you see now. It's like every commercial that you see now is using those techniques. So people will see some company has suddenly become a huge advocate for a social movement in the zeitgeist. And if you don't know about Edward Bernays, you're like, God damn, I guess Starbucks has really become interested in protecting the earth. You know what I mean? But and I'm not saying people at Starbucks aren't, but when you're buying what's it called? I don't know, ethical coffee. You know, but there's big signs everywhere about the coffee's ethical. You didn't even know coffee was unethical. You're like, fuck, I've been drinking blasphemy coffee all this time. Oh my God. And,
unethical coffee.
But what they're doing there is they're like, look, when you're buying this, you're not just buying coffee, you're helping. And so now you have taken their philanthropy, their philanthropic instincts, and hacked that to sell more coffee.
Have you ever seen like the numbers of people that are working in chocolate, that are working in like horrible conditions? Have you ever heard of this? Jamie, find out about chocolate. Someone was telling me that chocolate, in many ways, I have to be careful about this because I'm not sure if they're right. Let's look up what it is. But they were connecting, we were talking about cobalt mines. And they said, have you ever looked into chocolate and chocolate production? It's like, here it is.
I mean,
Mars Wrigley factory fined after 2 workers fall into chocolate vat. Well, that's not it. I think they're talking about cacao farming, and that I think he was insinuating that they used slave labor at some of those places.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that's the God. Who was I talking to, man? God damn it, I have such a soggy brain. Oh man, they were talking about how they.
Child labor and slavery in the chocolate industry. This is it. Jesus Christ. Okay, can you make that larger for my shitty eyes? Chocolate is a product of the cacao bean, which grows primarily in the tropical climates of Western Africa, Asia, and Latin America. The cacao bean is more commonly referred to as cocoa. So that is the term that will be used throughout this article. Western African countries, mostly Ghana and the Ivory Coast, supply about 70% of the world's cocoa. Is it coca or cocoa? How do you say that?
I don't know.
Because I always say cocoa, like
I
hot
don't know.
cocoa.
Cacao.
Cacao.
This shitty, healthy chocolate.
COCOA, but it's not cacao because the cacao bean, and then it's coca.
Coca.
Okay. The coca they grow, sorry everybody, chocolate they grow and harvest is sold to a majority of chocolate companies, including the largest in the world. In the past few decades, a handful of organizations and journalists have exposed the widespread use of child labor and in some cases slavery on coca farms in Western Africa. Child labor has been found on coca farms in Cameroon, Guinea, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, although since most of Western Africa is coca grown in Ghana and the Ivory Coast, the majority of child labor cases have been documented in those 2 countries.
Fuck.
Yeah.
You don't like it,
It says Brazil too. Scroll up a little bit.
You just don't think that, do you?
No.
When you're eating a Kit Kat.
In recent years, evidence has also surfaced of both child labor and slavery on coca farms in Brazil. Coca workers there face many of the same abuses as those on coca farms in Western Africa. Fuck. And then Latin America, too, they're saying.
$1 per day.
Jesus Christ.
$1 per day. A Kit Kat's 4 days' work.
Isn't it crazy that chocolate is like love, and there's like chocolate stores, come in and buy chocolate. Like,
Valentine's
if you walk
Day.
by a chocolate store, You never say, "Oh, child labor."
Oh yeah, a lot of kids died for that fucking chocolate you're giving for your.
A lot of little, tiny, unformed bodies are being forced to dig holes in the ground.
Dig holes, just getting
Carry
sick,
shit.
getting malaria.